Hey guys, welcome to the Coates Show, and today I'm here with my grandma. We're gonna talk about the Mr. Rogers movie that came out a month ago called Won't You Be My Neighbor. It covers the life and career of Fred Rogers, who was a famous children's TV host from the 60s to the 90s. And yeah, it just really covers his entire career and the great person he was. So,
It was so good to see it.
what did you think of this movie?
Well, I relived some of what I had experienced. It was good in a different sense. Like, you couldn't say, I just went because it was about Mr. Rogers.
Yeah, like
It was
even...
also well done.
Yeah, this is directed by the same director as 20 Feet from Stardom,
Okay.
which came out a few years ago. And even if you knew nothing about Mr. Rogers before this movie came out, you could still enjoy this.
Oh, yes.
It connected to the world events that were going on at
Yes.
this time, like how Mr. Rogers incorporated like racism or anti-racism into his television show. Like, there was a law at the time saying that a black person couldn't swim in the same pool
I
as
know.
white people. And so on his show, he had a guy playing a police officer who was black come and dip his feet in a pool with him. And it just seemed like an everyday thing to a kid watching, but at the same time, that's a pretty subtle
Yeah.
reference to...
It was beyond
Yeah.
entertainment because it also had a lesson for all of us to learn. And a time that it brought back memories for me
Mhm.
of the time that blacks were excluded from so many
Yeah.
situations,
Yeah.
which you would not have gone through,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you would have heard about it.
And even there were some things that were just too far for even him to combat at that time. Like, it talks about how one of the people he worked with was gay
Yeah,
and how that couldn't come out.
yes. So many things that were not accepted at one time.
And you lived through that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I didn't think of all the different periods that I lived through until you see some of these movies
Yeah.
and realize. I know at one time there was such a division between, blacks and whites and, so many different situations
Yeah.
in life.
And I think this movie really covered it really well.
It did.
Yeah.
It did. I thought that too, that it was a lesson to be learned, but it was also good entertainment.
Here's the thing about Mr. Rogers. There's something about him. I don't know what it is. If this were anyone else talking the way he does, his voice, I don't know. I feel like it'd be a little uncomfortable, but there's something about him.
Yeah.
Even like as an adult watching him, maybe it's the nostalgia I have for it. I don't know, but it just feels right.
Yeah, I didn't
yeah.
think of that at the time, but looking back on it now, it was beyond entertainment.
Yeah.
But you didn't really feel like that at the time until you look back on it.
Yeah, and his manner, he just has this comforting way of talking.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
and
that people felt okay about it.
yeah, and I remember watching Mr. Rogers as a little kid. There must have been the reruns because the show stopped in like '96 and I wasn't alive then. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, and so it was really nice to see that
Yes.
again here.
To sort of connect with it. No, I thought it was very well done.
Yeah. It starts in 1967, the year before the Mr. Rogers Neighborhood show started. And he started working in children's entertainment as a producer for different shows. He wasn't a fan of TV because he didn't think there was anything for kids that was really useful for them to use in their lives.
Yeah.
Then in 1968 his show started and ended in '76, which was pretty a short
that how
span
long
of
it
time.
was on?
Yeah, that's
I wasn't sure.
that's how long it was originally on. Then there was a kid who jumped off the roof because they were trying to be Superman.
Ah.
And so he came back doing PSAs about, how kids should be more safe. He had episodes about death, about, these pretty dark
Yes.
subjects.
Yes.
And like when,
But maybe subjects that should be
yeah,
brought out. Yeah.
they should be brought out, but, it's a kid's show, so you kind of have to,
You can't bring them out the same for a children's
Yeah.
show as you would for an adult show.
But I think it's still good that he never talked down to them.
Yes.
He said it in a way that they could understand,
Yeah.
while still acknowledging that the world is not perfect.
Yes.
Like, it covers when Bobby Kennedy died, when the Challenger spaceship exploded. He talked about each of these things on his show
Yes.
in a way that kids would understand,
Yeah.
and it just brought that into their lives
Yeah.
without it being so.
Yes, he made it less frightening
Yeah,
for children.
So, what else did you think about this movie?
Well, it touched upon subjects that a lot of people don't ever discuss, but it's something that we need to remember and need to know about, whether you remember, if you weren't living in that time. It's still something that we should all be aware of.
Yeah.
Because we want to live in a free country, and that's important.
Yeah. So, I think it's a really great movie. I'd say go see it.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
It's really an important movie to see, not just for the entertainment, for the lessons.
I cried a couple times
Yeah.
doing this.
Well, you sort of try to hold it back, but you feel moved by some of it.
Yeah, like there's one scene where he's talking to a kid in a wheelchair who's had this
Yes.
operation. That scene was,
It's very moving. Very moving.
and it just really showed how much they cared about kids.
Yes.
Like no matter what
And you
kind
know,
of problems they had in their lives, he just wanted to connect with them.
that's right.
Yeah.
And it's different seeing a movie than it is just reading about it. If you read about it, you sort of read it and then toss it aside. When you've seen a movie, it stays in your mind after.
Yeah, it was
That's
really
what I
powerful.
do. Yes.
So, what would you give this movie out of 10?
8.
8? Okay.
What
8 out
would
of
you?
10. I would give this movie a full 10 out of 10. That's the first time I've given it 10 out of 10, but I'm gonna give it that because this movie was
Good for
very.
you.
Yes.
Well, it's very emotional, but the fact that it's actually a true story makes it more emotional.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so anything else to say? You're just gonna say goodbye?
Goodbye.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys later.
See you later, folks.
Yeah.
Like the Disney cartoons.
Yeah.
See you later, folks.
Yeah.